They were taken in the dead of night. Some for ransom, some for power, and others simply vanished without explanation. These kidnappings didn't just steal people, they stole peace of mind from entire nations. These are the most infamous kidnappings in history, explained in detail. The Lindbergh baby kidnapping, 1932 U.S. It was March 1, 1932, when one of the most famous families in America was shattered by an unthinkable crime. Charles Lindbergh, the world-famous aviator who had captured international attention by flying solo across the Atlantic, lived a seemingly idyllic life with his wife, Anne, and their 20-month-old son, Charles Jr., in their New Jersey home. But fame, it turned out, could not protect them from tragedy. On that cold night, a homemade wooden ladder was placed against the nursery window. While the family and staff were inside, someone climbed up, entered the child's room, and snatched him from his crib. By the time the nurse checked in, the child was gone. Left behind was a ransom note, crudely written and demanding $50,000, an enormous sum in the middle of the Great Depression. Panic swept the country. The kidnapping dominated headlines across America and beyond. The Lindberghs were not just wealthy. Charles was a national hero. President Herbert Hoover personally ordered the FBI and other agencies to assist. Law enforcement scoured the property and surrounding areas. Investigators quickly discovered the ladder and muddy footprints outside the window, but no clear trail. Days turned into weeks, and negotiations with the kidnappers began. The ransom notes continued, each filled with misspellings and odd phrasing. Signed with a strange symbol, 2 overlapping blue circles with a red dot. A go-between named Dr. John Condon, a retired teacher, volunteered to deliver the ransom. After tense exchanges, the ransom money, $50,000 in marked bills, was handed over. But heartbreak soon followed. Despite the payment, Charles Lindbergh Jr. was never returned. On May 12, 1932, the body of the child was found in the woods, just miles from the Lindbergh estate. The discovery devastated the nation. Autopsy reports suggested he had died the very night he was taken, making the ransom exchanges a cruel hoax that prolonged the family's suffering. The investigation shifted toward finding the culprit. 2 years later, in 1934, a German immigrant named Bruno Richard Hauptmann was arrested after one of the marked ransom bills surfaced in circulation. Police discovered more ransom money hidden in his garage. The ladder used in the kidnapping was traced to wood found in his attic. Hauptmann denied everything, claiming he was holding the money for a friend. His trial became one of the most sensational in American history, dubbed the Trial of the Century. Reporters packed the courtroom, and the public followed every detail. In 1935, Hauptmann was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. He was executed the following year, though he maintained his innocence until the end. But the story didn't end there. For decades, doubts lingered. Some believed Hauptmann acted alone. Others insisted he was a scapegoat. Questions about police misconduct, unreliable witnesses, and gaps in the evidence left room for conspiracy theories. The Lindbergh case left a permanent mark on America. Outrage over the crime led to the creation of the Lindbergh Law, making kidnapping across state lines a federal offense, and giving the FBI authority to pursue such cases nationwide. It also changed how ransom cases were investigated and reshaped public awareness of child safety. Even today, nearly a century later, the Lindbergh kidnapping is remembered not just as a tragedy, but as a cultural turning point. The day America realized even its heroes were not untouchable. Patty Hearst and the SLA 1974 U.S. Patricia Hearst was no ordinary college student. At 19, she was the granddaughter of publishing tycoon William Randolph Hearst, living in Berkeley, California. On February 4, 1974, armed members of the radical Symbionese Liberation Army, SLA, burst into her apartment and dragged her away at gunpoint. The SLA was a small, violent group with dreams of overthrowing the U.S. government. At first, they demanded Hearst's family donate millions in food to the poor. But as weeks turned into months, the world saw something even more shocking. Patty appeared in surveillance footage, not as a hostage, but as a participant in an SLA bank robbery wielding an assault rifle. America was stunned. Was she brainwashed, or had she willingly joined her captors? Psychologists later called it Stockholm Syndrome, where captives develop loyalty to their abductors. Her transformation sparked a heated debate: victim or revolutionary? Eventually, Patty was arrested in 1975 and convicted of bank robbery, sentenced to 35 years. But her case continued to divide opinion. Supporters argued she was a manipulated prisoner of war. Critics claimed she had embraced terrorism. In 2001, President Bill Clinton granted her a pardon, closing a chapter on one of the strangest kidnappings in modern American history. Elizabeth Smart, 2002 U.S. In the summer of 2002, 14-year-old Elizabeth Smart was asleep in her Salt Lake City bedroom when a knife-wielding intruder forced her out into the night. Her kidnapper, Brian David Mitchell, and his accomplice, Wanda Barzee, dragged her into the mountains. There, Mitchell declared her his spiritual wife. For 9 months, Elizabeth endured captivity, abuse, and manipulation. The couple paraded her in public, disguised in veils and robes. Despite being seen, no one recognized her. Mitchell convinced her that escape would bring ruin to her family, tightening his psychological grip. Her ordeal ended in March 2003 when 2 witnesses spotted her walking in a Salt Lake suburb. Elizabeth was rescued, and her captors arrested. In court, Mitchell was sentenced to life in prison and Barzee received 15 years. Elizabeth didn't let the trauma define her. She became an outspoken advocate for child safety, proving survival can lead to strength. Her story remains one of the most chilling and inspiring kidnappings of the 21st century. Jaycee Dugard, 1991 to 2009, U.S. On her way to school in South Lake Tahoe in 1991, 11-year-old Jaycee Dugard was snatched off the street by Philip and Nancy Garrido. For the next 18 years, she vanished from the world. Jaycee lived in a hidden backyard compound, where she was subjected to repeated abuse and gave birth to 2 daughters. Authorities missed multiple opportunities. Parole officers even visited the Garrido home without realizing Jaycee was right there, living in secrecy. In 2009, Garrido's erratic behavior during a parole check finally exposed the truth. Jaycee was discovered, along with her daughters, alive after nearly 2 decades of captivity. The revelation horrified the world and raised questions about systemic failures in law enforcement. Her memoir later revealed not just her suffering, but also her extraordinary resilience. Jaycee's story is one of survival against overwhelming odds. Colleen Stan, A Girl in the Box, 1977 U.S. Hitchhiking to a friend's party in 1977, 20-year-old Colleen Stan accepted a ride from Cameron and Janice Hooker. What followed became one of the most disturbing kidnappings in history. For 7 years, Colleen lived as a prisoner. Much of that time, she was confined in a wooden box under the couple's bed, brought out only to perform chores or endure abuse. Cameron convinced her that a secret, all-powerful organization called The Company was watching her and would kill her if she tried to escape. This psychological control kept her obedient, even when chances to flee arose. Eventually, Janice confessed the truth and helped Colleen escape in 1984. The case shocked the nation, showing how manipulation and fear could enslave someone without physical chains. Colleen survived, but her story remains one of the darkest examples of psychological domination. The Cleveland Kidnappings, 2002 until 2013 U.S. For over a decade, Ariel Castro held 3 women, Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus, captive inside his Cleveland home. Each had been abducted separately, but all endured years of unspeakable abuse. The house became their prison. Windows were boarded, chains were used, and escape seemed impossible. Amanda Berry even gave birth to a daughter while in captivity, raising her in secret. In May 2013, Amanda managed to break through a door and screamed for help. A neighbor, Charles Ramsey, heard her cries and helped free her. Police stormed the house, rescuing all 3 women. Castro was sentenced to life plus 1,000 years but committed suicide in prison shortly after. Their courage and survival became a story of both horror and hope. Madeleine McCann, 2007, Portugal. On May 3, 2007, 3-year-old Madeleine McCann vanished from her family's holiday apartment in Praia de Luz, Portugal. Her parents had left her sleeping with her siblings while dining nearby. When they returned, she was gone. The case exploded worldwide. Media frenzy, international investigations, and countless theories followed. Some suspected strangers, others questioned the parents. Despite massive searches and millions spent, Madeleine was never found. Her disappearance remains one of the most famous unsolved kidnappings in modern history. Even today, every new lead reignites hope and heartbreak for her family. Natascha Kampusch, 1998 to 2006, Austria. At just 10 years old, Natascha Kampusch was abducted by Wolfgang Pricklepil while walking to school in Vienna. He locked her in a secret windowless cellar beneath his home. For 8 years, she lived in isolation, cut off from the world. Pricklepil controlled her every move, alternating between cruelty and moments of twisted kindness. As she grew older, the psychological chains became as strong as the physical ones. In 2006, she seized a rare opportunity. While cleaning his car in the garden, Pricklepil became distracted, and Natascha ran to freedom. Hours later, he killed himself as police closed in. Her escape shocked Austria and the world, and her memoir later revealed the haunting complexities of long-term captivity. From ransom demands to decades of hidden captivity, from children stolen in the night to disappearances that remain unsolved, these kidnappings changed laws, broke families, and terrified nations. But here's the chilling truth. Even with modern security, technology, and awareness, kidnappings haven't stopped. Somewhere right now, another person could be vanishing into the shadows. And the question remains, which case will haunt us next?